So in order to understand injuries, what we're going to do is consider the load that any tissue in the body is able to undergo before it becomes injured. So throughout the day, throughout our training, and throughout our general movement patterns, our tissues are going to undergo some degree of load. And that load is going to vary depending on what we're doing and go up and down throughout the day. And there you go. So at some stage, when we get injured, what happens is the load of that tissue has exceeded the capacity of strain that they can undergo, and then it becomes damaged in some way. So across the top here, we've got the capacity of that tissue to undergo load. And just here, as you can see, the load has exceeded the capacity, and there, at that point, we've become injured. Now, what happens then is the capacity of the tissue to undergo load drops significantly, and therefore, at that point, we're then more likely to create a further injury. For example, if you were to partially tear a ligament, that the capacity of the ligament to undergo load becomes severely reduced, and then you're more likely to blow the ligament completely. Now, what we can do from that point is give you rehabilitation exercises to take the capacity of the joint and drive it back up to where it was before. So here, where the capacity has dropped, we give you rehabilitation exercises, and that takes you back to where you previously were. That's not always good enough, because if you're going to then go and participate in the same activity, then you're going to be driving the load back up to its capacity, and then re-injure yourself. So what we can do instead is to take our capacity and drive that up instead. Now, if we take a controlled load and apply it to the body through a variety of different methods, what we can do is create a system where the load doesn't exceed the capacity, but what it does to the capacity is to start to drive it up. And so you can now see that with this line, we've no longer exceeded the capacity of the tissues, and therefore we don't get injured. So this is called prehabilitation. And so I always believe that prevention is better than cure. And so it's better to work on prehabilitation exercises, particularly if you're going to go and start taking up some new sport, or you've previously injured yourself and you don't want to injure yourself again. It's much better to do prehabilitation work rather than rehabilitation and keep injuring yourself over and over again. So come in and I'll show you some prehabilitation exercises that you can get underway for whatever sports you want to do. If you haven't been injured yet, it's great, but don't risk it in the first place. Remember, prevention's better than cure.